time was here.
Radcliffe is a small town 3 miles from Bury and 7 miles from Manchester city centre. In this small unsuspecting town resides Pioneer Mill, situated on the banks of the River Irwell. Pioneer Mill and its surrounding area are now occupied by several businesses and a non-profit creative project, Noah's Musical Ark, which is run by Peter Haywood, Rob Ormerod and Alexander Kovalchuk. This non-profit project charges the minimum amount to bands to pay for the overheads of the project in return for a rehearsal room and studio facilities to record in.
Been used as an arts centre, a budget arts centre, I'll grant you, but an arts centre for the local community over the last sort of 5 years. We've got a unit of about 16 practice rooms, plus a studio, plus a photography studio. We have had cage fighters in the past, and all sorts of weird and wonderful people wanting to utilise the space.
From the ages of 18, they have been utilising unused space around Pioneer Mills in order to produce their own music and help others do the same.
Basically, there's been unused mills with a lot of space that we've utilised, and what we've done on the tightest of possible budgets is construct as much as we possibly can from that.
All we'd known for years was building practice rooms, and the opportunity came up where we could rent a big building, build a load of practice rooms, and do that instead of just going to another practice room and paying for it, which didn't give us the amount of freedom we'd been used to.
And then Pete came along with the wonderful idea of building a recording studio, didn't you, Pete?
Somewhere through that we met Pete, managed to drag him on board.
Yeah, I turned up with...
Distract him from his plans.
Yeah, I turned up with a load of recording gear hoping to build a studio. They built a studio with no recording gear, and it all kind of stemmed from that. We're using Cubase 5 because we're too poor to afford Cubase 6. We use Cubase because I grew up using Cubase and these guys had no choice, that was what I brought with me. We've got 2 Focusrite Sapphire units, which are great, good quality preamps in them. They give us enough of channels to do pretty much whatever we want with. We've got an audio recording computer, which is a home built thing. It breaks on us all the time, I don't really know why we use that. We've got a selection of microphones, AKGs, Shores, nothing too expensive.
If there was a place like this available when we were younger, for 30 quid a week, for your own room, that you got access to whenever you want it, I'd have snapped their hands off.
But the thing is, we were never in that position, because before that position even became an option, we'd built a practice rooms.
As interest in the Ark accumulated, more and more different forms of media and arts were attracted to the cheap costs and friendly atmosphere. One of the most prominent additions is the Infinity Cove, constructed by local photographer John Paul Brown.
The Cove was built for a photography studio. It's been used by numerous bands. In fact, it's been used by pretty much everyone in the mill, other than ourselves, I think.
Yeah. This is the first time
we've sat on this cove, and yeah, and enjoyed its beautiful, sort of pure backdrop. I feel like I'm sat in heaven.
Really appreciate the rug.
Heaven's a little bit dirty. We didn't really add the photography studio in, it just kind of happened. We've got friends who are photographers, apparently we have friends who are cage fighters. I don't know where they came from. And these people just wanted space exactly the same as we did, so they got involved with the place, and that's how we ended up with that.
Yeah, we're a true cooperative. We're from the northwest, but the birthplace of the cooperative, as it says when,
Is it really?
when you drive into Rochdale every morning. There's a big sign.
Rochdale.
The home of cooperation, or the birthplace of cooperation.
Manchester is the home of dance.
Manchester's a home of innovation from Joy Division onwards. Basically, they do things in Manchester and then everyone else copies it.
As the trio already have their own sources of income, they decided to make the Ark a non-profit venture, charging the smallest amount possible to cover the overheads of the building.
Totally
Well, that was-
non-profit to the point of...
The plan was never to make any money. It
Yeah.
was to.
It's actually cost us money.
It was to just provide us with a space where we could build a studio and do what we wanted to do. So we'd build a load of rooms and charge them as cheap as possible, because we only need to make the rent. We don't need to make any money.
Yeah, in terms
You know.
of sort of business folly, it's up there, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's pretty terrible business skills. It's not a good model to follow.
Yeah, don't try this at home.
Yeah, you don't make money.
I mean, there's been a lot of interest in investment initially, a lot of people interested in what we're doing, and the fact that we're doing it completely not for profit, you know, unlike anyone else that's doing it at the moment. The council have been interested in us, the Arts Council have been interested in us, certain like brands of recording gear, Alan and Heath were on about giving us an endorsement at one point. But I mean, the problem with it has been the state of the building and the terrible effort we make of running an actual business. I think any kind of investment would help us massively, you know, because at the end of the day we're on a shoestring budget. In fact, we haven't even got a shoestring.
As the people who've overseen the mill, we've had the opportunity to oversee the creative process and how it can work and how it can go wrong. I think that amongst the many bands that we've had that have come through the mill, there have been certain bands who've knuckled down and have certainly come out sounding 20 times better.
A band that I could definitely say has benefited from the place is a band called Big Fiction. At the time, we were open 24/7, which gave people a massive freedom. It meant that people who worked evening shifts all the time and finished at 10 o'clock would still have opportunity to practice.
Well, your average band doesn't work on
Was something-
necessarily 9 to 5 o'clock.
Well, no, but it's something that they, in particular, at that time took advantage of.
And from there they've gone from strength to strength,
Yeah,
and they recently topped the indie chart
Yeah,
on the internet.
they're doing really well for themselves.
When you think that we were born out of a bedroom studio, that's where I started. All of my gear was originally in a bedroom at home, and I got involved with this place because it got too big and I couldn't fit it all in my bedroom anymore. But there's so many people doing that same thing now. Now we've got to a point where we're more of a professional recording facility.
You go back to 1997, I think was the watershed moment when White Town did Your Woman, which got to #1, which was recorded in someone's bedroom. And I think that since then, particularly with the availability of stuff on the web and the fact that you can download pretty much anything you want, has opened that up to so many different people. And I think that that's what's led to such a varied music scene now.
Despite the group's best efforts to maintain the Ark, the decision was made to move to a studio-only unit.
We've decided to move because running a place with 16 practice rooms in it has become an untenable business proposition. Bands are not reliable in any way, shape or form, much less in terms of any financial sort of situations. You know, and as such, we've got a lot of bands who have owed us money, who have left the place without paying that back, because we've not had any sort of formal, you know, agreement in place. Then, you know, we've got no sort of place in which to claim that money back.
So at the end of the day, we decided to move because we wanted this place to be a collective. It was never intended to be a business. It was supposed to be a collection of bands that all contributed to paying the rent on a building. We just got to practice here for free because we were looking after it and making sure all the money got to the right people. But we're not in a society that really lets you do that anymore. People don't look at it that way. They look at us as a business, and it doesn't work. No one pays the money that they owe. So we constantly struggle. So we decided to downsize to something that's just a not-for-profit studio, rather than running the rehearsal rooms and all the stress that goes with it.
All we need to really worry about is soundproofing it for ourselves.
Yeah, we're moving
That's
to
good enough for me.
a location that's much more capable of taking the structure of a studio.
The benefits are more psychological than anything else. I think it's been
To be honest,
so stressful to run this place that to move anywhere and just have it be on our own heads financially is something of a release.
The intention is for this one to be purely for ourselves, but we are going to allow other bands in because obviously we need to fund it, and we'd like not to fund it all ourselves. It's been really good. I think that ultimately, yeah, it's been all about making friends and meeting new people and diversifying ourselves as musicians as much as helping other musicians. And if you look at it that way, then yeah, we've succeeded in what we want to do.